Fantastic. Oh my gosh. Okay. It's 4 o'clock. So let's get started. Thank you everyone for being on. You guys have been so amazing this week, and we've been putting up random trainings here and there. And this was just one that was scheduled this morning. So absolutely amazing for you to be able to be on here. The recording will be posted on the coronavirus resource page. So in case you have to hop off or whatnot, we're going to post the resources from the call today and also the recording over on that page. But you guys have been absolutely amazing. I'm so proud of you guys. Some of you have changed your entire business model in a matter of just a couple of days. And to see your resilience and your adaptability and your flexibility and what's been going on and the support that you've been providing to your clients and community has just been absolutely incredible. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Alicia Strager. I run Fit Pro Essentials and the Fitness Business Freedom Formula on the Facebook group. And I am so excited to be able to introduce you. Many of you already know who Greg Justice is, but Greg has been such an incredible influence in the fitness and wellness industry. And I have always, if anybody has a question on corporate wellness, or when I had a question, I'm like, Greg, I need help with this. And he's always so amazing and so willing to share and give back. And he's such a great mentor, and he has just influenced probably the fitness industry in ways that you haven't even imagined. But I'm very excited. Greg, thank you so much for being on. Greg, I'll just do a formal introduction. Greg is a best-selling author, speaker, and fitness entrepreneur. He opened AYC Health and Fitness, Kansas City's original personal training center in 1986. Greg is the CEO of National Corporate Fitness Institute and Scripter Publishing Group. He was inducted into the National Fitness Hall of Fame in 2017. Greg writes feature articles for many industry publications, including Club Industry Magazine, Idea Fitness Journal, and Personal Fitness Professional Magazine. And he has authored and co-authored more than 25 books. And Greg also holds a master's degree in exercise science from Morehead State University in Morehead, Kentucky. So Greg, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your expertise and your experience to help everyone really tap into a potential revenue stream with corporate wellness, given the current situation with everything going on, just your generosity and willingness to share such amazing content.
Well, Alicia, it's my pleasure, and thank you for all you do for our industry and bringing together groups like this to help each other and share a content that will hopefully be able to help each of you that are listening. And then the only thing that I ask of you is to make sure that you continue to pass on whatever value you may find from this information and help others.
Absolutely amazing. Well, I am so excited to have you here. I know we have an outline. Do you want to take questions at the end? Do you want it to be interactive throughout? How would you prefer to run it, Greg?
I'm fine with, we can go through each of the questions in the outline. If you want to, we can answer questions specific to those each topics in the outline if you'd like.
Perfect. I think
Okay.
that would be a perfect flow.
Okay.
I see a couple people, if you joined after I posted the doc, you probably won't see it. Let me just repost this file really fast for you. Because Greg put together a doc for all of you, and it will be right now. If you check in the chat section, you'll see this. So I just reposted it. So if you want to download that on your computer, you'll be able to see some of the terms and what Greg's going to be talking about today. So let's start off and talk about the opportunity in the current climate for corporate wellness and corporate fitness.
Well, absolutely. And before we started, we got in about 10 minutes early, and Alicia and I were talking a little bit about the corporate market in general and how even as we got into all the stay-at-home directives and the quarantine and all that, my focus in the corporate wellness space was primarily on-site corporate wellness, because engaging with and being face-to-face and boots on the ground is something that really a lot of the big corporate wellness vendors don't provide. And so we stepped in and took over where they were not willing to go. So that was my primary focus. And we did very limited online programming. Well, when all of this quarantine began to happen, we started getting contact from our corporate contracts asking us, how are you going to, or how can we continue this program without you guys coming in. And so we really, like many of you, kind of had to scramble to get all this programming set up. And there are some of our corporate contracts that we actually provide 30 weekly on-site classes along with the online programming. And so we really had to get a platform up and running very quickly, just like many of you did with your personal and small group training clients. So when we did that, now we're in our second week of doing it, what we found is that not only the regulars were coming to our online platform, but we also found that many more that weren't coming to the face-to-face classes, the boots on the ground classes, were now joining. So we actually were able to expand basically overnight. And again, it was just not a focus that I had considered until we were forced to consider it. So it's really been a blessing, because even though we have done challenges globally for corporations, we've never provided the fitness classes globally. And now within the span of 1 week, we're now providing them in a global setting all around the world. So the opportunity, not only with the fitness classes, but with the fitness challenges and accountability programs. And I want to make sure to mention that I started a separate thread in Alicia's Facebook page with the actual lifestyle and fitness program that we do. It's a 6-week program, and I started one tomorrow for you all to sign up for to do. So you can just see kind of how we lay it out. And as we were talking about a little bit before we started the official meeting here, we don't ever do weight loss challenges. All of our challenges are focused on lifestyle, creating a healthier lifestyle, behavioral challenges. And we score points based on the certain things they do. And you'll see how the points are calculated in that challenge that I set up for you all to try tomorrow. And I know there are a lot of different platforms. That particular one is set up on what's called the Vemify platform. But there are some other ones. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But so the opportunities not only include the on-site fitness, yoga, stretch and relief type programmings that you can provide online, but also the fitness and accountability challenge programs. The online lunch and learn programs are starting to become very popular as well. They can be quick little 5-minute lunch and learns, 15, 30 minutes, or full 1-hour programs. We just sent out a 1-hour lunch and learn program that actually went globally to one of our corporate sites that is headquartered here in Kansas City, but they are in 10 different countries around the world. And that 1-hour lunch and learn went out just last week. Also, the keynote presentations are very good. So you might think a 1-hour lunch and learn kind of is a keynote, but it really wasn't. It was more of an interactive program that we did live and recorded so that we could send globally. But you can actually do those keynote presentations, record them, and then package them and send those out as well. So the opportunities are massive right now, specific to the corporate wellness programming. And before we kind of go into that next part of the outline, let's open it up and see if you have any questions specific to what we just went over there.
Yeah, I will definitely take some questions. I think you and I share the same belief. I know we share the same belief that even though we're all going through this transition and what's happening with the coronavirus, like I do believe, and I know, Greg, you believe this too, this is a huge opportunity for you as a business to really connect at a deeper level with your community and serve people that you might not have ever worked with before.
Right.
And some of you have never dug into corporate wellness before. And a lot of my clients are actually having their clients reach out to them because they work for bigger businesses and corporations. And they're like, we need some help. Our company needs support at this level. Can you provide fitness classes for us? Like, what can you help us with? And so that's one of the reasons that I wanted to bring Greg on, because the corporate corporations, the businesses, they need our help right now. You have the ability to really create another level of impact and really tap into that as a revenue stream. And I really do believe that on the other side of this, when we come out, many of you will continue streaming live and offering online coaching after this is all over. And if you're securing and creating amazing relationships with corporations and businesses, this might be a potential amazing revenue stream, not only now and be able to generate more revenue, but when this is all over. So absolutely, we'll open it up to questions. Let's see, Trisha says, if we're not in corporate right now, do you see that corporations are looking to invest or hire fitness and lifestyle classes?
Well, yeah, and again, one reason that they're looking to come to you all, which are basically contract employees, is because a lot of times they don't want to spend in their budget for a salaried position where they're doing benefits and all that other stuff, where they can just bring in a contract employee, and that's a lot less expensive in the long run for them to do that. If they run, well, let's say, I'll give you an example of that one. One of the hospitals we work with here in Kansas City, we run 13 classes a week for them. Now, if they were to hire a wellness person to do that, they would have to pay full-time benefits, salary, and then that person would just come in and hire contract people as well. So the whole key is for you to fill the void of that full-time salary position, and not have to be beholden to them to give you all the benefits that come with a full-time job. And then you can work with multiple sites, take your employees or your contract employees into those sites as well. And I think it's important here to understand that traditionally, personal trainers, small group trainers, the busiest times for you all traditionally are in the morning and in the evening, right? That's when it's traditionally the busiest. In the corporate setting, the sweet spot is between 11 and 1 o'clock, which is usually your dead time in the personal and small group training markets. So it's the perfect add-on to what you're currently doing.
That's perfect. That's prime time nap time for personal.
Yes, exactly. So this will allow you to fill that void, rather than working those split shifts, which the industry is so, that's what we're used to. Absolutely. But this will allow you to fill that middle day when usually you're pretty quiet.
Absolutely. That's a perfect way to maximize a day. And so just so you guys know the structure of the call and what we're going to go over. So if your question relates to that, we'll just wait until we get to that part. But we're going to talk about how to approach the corporations to get a meeting. We're going to talk about structuring your actual offer and what you're going to be including with that in the program, how to structure the actual fulfillment of the sessions. We'll talk about what to charge, the tech to use, and then best practices. So I see a couple of your questions came in, and we'll touch on that as we go through. But let me see if I have any other ones here. Advice for structuring your offers and pricing. Yep, we will totally get to all that. Hey, Beth, will you post the link to Greg's post? Okay, amazing. Thank you so much. Beth's amazing. She'll post any links that we mentioned. She'll find them in the Facebook group and post them in the chat for you guys. So let's dive in and start talking about, I guess, number one, how to approach corporations to actually get a meeting or to create that connection and contact.
Okay, well, the key here is, and there are the two ways we coach specific to the corporate market. The two best ways are to deal directly with decision makers or influencers within your current client base. And then the second best way is through your local chamber of commerce, but that's not as relevant in this today setting because you're not going to those group meetings. So we're going to talk specifically about the most powerful way, which is leveraging your existing client base. And here's exactly how we coach it. With all your clients, you take out your list and put together 3 different columns. The first is a column of decision makers. Second column are influencers. And then the third column has everyone else in it. Okay. And so when you go through your list, and you probably haven't even thought about it, but when you go through and look at your clients, you go, oh yeah, he owns this mid-sized business or whatever, or he is in the C-suite or high executive level tier of a corporation. Or what I have found most beneficial, and I've told these stories many times, is the influencers, because a lot of times the decision makers have blinders on. And I'll just give you an anecdotal quick story about that specific challenge when you're dealing with a decision maker. I was talking to the CEO of a large global software company who we have been actually serving them for 20 years now. They've been a corporate client for 20 years. And about 5 years into it, I asked to meet with him face to face in his office so that I could get insight on why he chose my company. And he said, that was my very first question. I said, why did you decide to bring me into your company? And he said, well, to be honest with you, Greg, if it weren't for my personal relationship with you, the personal relationship you have with my family, and his wife, the influencer, is the one that actually got me in that company. He said, you would never have had this opportunity to sit in front of me to do this. And he wasn't being arrogant. He was saying, bottom line is here, I've got blinders on. As the CEO of this company, my focus is on the next $50 million deal, the next $100 million deal. My focus, and this isn't to slight the world of corporate wellness, my focus is not on corporate wellness. He leaves that to the HR people. So the fact that I had that personal connection with him, and each of you on this screen that I'm looking at, so many wonderful faces, and I know that each of you have these same kind of connections in your business that I have in mine. You just have to go through each in your list and find those people. And again, it was the influencer, and the way I got that particular corporate contract was she was on her treadmill warming up, and the Today Show was on in the background. This goes back 25 years. And the Today Show was doing a segment on corporate wellness. And it was like a light bulb went on over her head. She stepped off the treadmill, looked at me and said, why aren't we doing this at Tom's company? And I said, well, we certainly can. And literally, less than a week later, I was sitting in the HR director's office. I didn't make the call. The HR director called me. And at that point, it was a matter not of if we were going to start this program, but just when. So that's the power of the influencer going directly to the decision maker, because again, he had his blinders on. He was a client too, but he wouldn't hear that discussion. The influencer will. And then when you have the influencer advocating for you, the decision maker will hear it. So I just want you to understand the importance and the power of that influencer on that list that hopefully you will create, and then start to just initiate a conversation. And this isn't in any way a hard sell to them. What you have to do, your responsibility as the owner of your business, is to make sure that your clients know all the services you provide. Because a lot of times they think of you as simply a trainer, right? And it's your responsibility to make sure they know so much more about you than you doing push-ups for a living, right? And I'm going to give you another specific story about that. A different company. This is a company called American Italian Pasta Company. They're the largest pasta maker in North America. And I trained both the husband, who was the CEO of the company, and his wife. And again, this goes back several years. He and I would have different conversations specific to corporate wellness. And I could see that the conversations were never something that he would engage in. It was just, kind of a head nod and then go on about his business. And then after I had that other conversation with that other CEO, it started to resonate with me because, again, he has those blinders on. He's thinking about that next big deal with Costco or Walmart or whatever for him, because that's where they sell their products. But the decision maker, I'm sorry, the influencer, once again, his wife started talking to him about what I do other than just personal training. And so she told me to give her a copy of my book, which is called Lies and Myths About Corporate Wellness. And actually, that's another resource that I'm going to give everyone on this call. I'm going to give you a free copy of that book. And I'll talk to Alicia about that, how we'll facilitate that, but bear with me on that one. So I gave her a copy of my book, Lies and Myths About Corporate Wellness, and she gave it to him. The next time he came in for a session 2 or 3 days later, he had the book in hand and he said, Greg, I've read the first 3 chapters of your book. He said, now I always knew you were good at the physical stuff, but I had no idea you were smart too. And it's like, okay, thank you, I think. And really, that just opened my eyes so much because, again, it's all context. He thought of me as a personal trainer, as his personal trainer, and he knew I was good at that. But he didn't know all the other things that I did. And he didn't even know I had written a book. That was my 3rd book, and he didn't even know I'd even authored a book. So, you know, it was all of a sudden I changed in his perception of who I was, because I was not only good at the physical stuff, but I was smart too, right? And I know each one of you has that same ability to step outside of just that we do push-ups for a living world and let them know all of the wonderful things that you are and that you do.
Yes.
Okay,
So,
that's the powerful part of that.
Greg, what does that conversation look like with the influencer? How do you approach that person? How do you let them know what you're going to offer and ask them for like that next level of contact? Like, what is that conversation or that email? What does that look like?
Well, if you want to do it very passively, what I did initially was I started posting things in each of the studios. I have a boutique personal training facility. It's called AYC Health and Fitness. And as Alicia mentioned, we opened Kansas City's original training center in 1986. So we've been around a long time. We've developed a good reputation. And so when we put something on our board or in our restrooms or in the actual gyms, it's a trusted piece of advice or content. We started posting our other services around our studio. And one of them happened to be corporate wellness. That's a very passive way to do it, so that when they see it and they come to you and say, oh, I didn't know you guys did massage therapy. I didn't know you guys had a nutrition. You know, if you have those services posted around, again, that's your responsibility as a business owner to make sure they know all the wonderful things you do. One of them that we listed on there was corporate wellness, and it was a separate sheet. And it was a basic, you know, here are the services we offer in your corporation. And that's what generated the conversations. Again, that one lady, the gal that I talked about that had the Today Show revelation, you know, it was because of TV segment. But the other one was specific to having that content available and out there in my gym. Sure. And she's the one that came to me and said, I didn't know you guys did all that. I thought you guys just did personal training. So we started to talk, and I gave her a copy of the book, and it just opened the dialogue. Again, I'm not a hard sales kind of guy, so that's just not who I am. Some of you, I mean, in fact, probably I'm looking at 90% of you are probably better salesmen than I am. But what I am is authentic, and I'm honest, and I'm open, and I share candidly with my clients. So it's that relationship and trust that you build with them, that when you do post something, that they know that it is sincere and honest and something of value.
Sure.
So that's how it worked for me.
Yes. So given the current situation where a lot of people are actually closed and like they can't post an announcement, would you suggest like an email, a personal phone call? Like how would they start that? Would they just let them know, hey, we're doing free workouts for corporations? Would you, you know, is that something your company might be interested in, or would you like to connect me with someone? Would you be more aggressive or assertive through those?
Yeah. So in this context, in the setting today, I would absolutely do on company email, a company email that, thanks them for the support, and they understand these are difficult times. And as a small business owner, I'm just reaching out to let you know some of these other services that I provide, including on-site corporate wellness. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things I was going to mention specific to approaching people to get these meetings with companies, is asking these influencers if they don't do a personal recommendation, which is hard to do in this setting because obviously we have to do social distancing and and all that stuff. So you're not going to get those face-to-face meetings. But if you can get an influencer to give you an email letter of introduction to someone in their company or someone that they know in another company, that is the second best way. Obviously, the face-to-face introduction is the best. An email or letter introduction is second. The third best way is for an influencer to give you a letter of recommendation that you can then attach to a letter when you reach out to a company.
Yes.
So those are the three best ways, boom, 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 in order. Face-to-face, email or letter introduction, and then a reference letter that you can use multiple times.
Okay. And so here's because we're virtual, most of you are already forced to be 100% virtual right now. You don't only have to look inside your client base. We can go to our entire contact list, our mm-hmm. friends, family, anybody yes. we know. Like, you can reach out to anyone that you have a connection with. And if they work in a corporation, you can ask for that referral or connection there. So don't only think clients right now. I want you guys to be thinking anybody that you know.
This is definitely time to think outside the box and reach as many people as you can. And again, doing it this way, through email, you can reach so many more people. So again, think scalability.
Mm-hmm. And Greg, are you asking when you're sending out an email or having a conversation with an influencer, are you approaching that? Is it, hey, we're offering what exactly? Are you going to introduce like maybe a free workout for their corporation? Or are you leading with giving, or are you just asking for a connection?
Yeah, there are some great ways to do that from the standpoint of just getting your foot in the door. One is a complimentary. I don't like the word free because it kind of devalues our services, right? So again, I know it's just psychology, but I always use the term complimentary lunch and learn. That is a good way to get you in the door. And once you get your foot in the door, then you continue to stay in front of them as best you can. But I would certainly be willing in this situation, and I would hope that each of you would be, to offer them a complimentary, maybe a stress reduction class or a breathing, a 15-minute breathing and calming session. And I will tell you that the number one issue in corporate America today is workplace stress.
Yes.
That is the number one issue that we're dealing with today in this space. So if you did a 15-minute stress relief breath work, and I know some of you specialize in that, then that would be an amazing complimentary offer that you could make to them.
Greg, I didn't even know you were going to say that. For everybody that's on the call, I'm going to send you guys, actually I'll post it in there. I just reworked a whole stress, like a whole 15-page stress and breathing. You can use it as a workshop. You can use it as a handout. You can use it as a guideline for a lunch and learn. I used to do lunch and learns all the time for our local hospital, but this would make a perfect outline for that. So it'll give you guys a tool to have a structure. So that's perfect. And that's a perfect lead-in. I'll grab that.
And a 15-minute time frame in something like that, I think, is a good starter place. And when we get to the structure of the programming and sessions, we'll talk more specifically about timing of classes and all that. We'll get there in just a minute.
Okay. All right. So we'll go through that. Does anybody have any questions on approaching the corporations, talking to the influencers, the decision makers, before we move on to the structure of the offer? I see one from Billy. Says, how would you send a personal email or a mass email if you have a large list? Or would you send a personal email or mass email? Sorry.
Again, let's go back to context here. The email I would send, there would be 3 different emails specific to what we talked about at the beginning. One email would be specific to who? the decision makers, right? Another email would be specific to the influencers, and then another email would be specific to everyone else. And the everyone else, there may be a decision maker or influencer that you just don't know. You know, if you've got a 400 or 500 person list, you may go through it and go, you know, I know the name, I know the face, but I don't know what they do. So that they would fall into that everyone else category. And that would be a different email than the influencer, the decision maker one. So just understand, I want you to go through and really narrow down the focus of who you're going to send that first and second email to. And again, I would do it in that order: decision maker, influencer, everyone else. And then customize the decision maker list. Because if you've got 400 people, well, let's scale it back. Probably on average, the average small group training facility has what, 150 to 250? Is that, am I off base? Is that about right?
That's right.
Okay. So in that 150 to 250 person list that you have, you will probably have somewhere between 10 and 15 decision makers. Mm-hmm. Okay. You'll have probably double to triple that of the influencers, maybe even more. And then the everyone else category. So let's start with that small group of 20 to 30, maybe 40 people in those first two categories. Customize that message specific to who they are. And then go to that everyone else mass email. Hey, you know, I'm just reaching out to you all to let you know that we're still in business. We're fighting our way through this. And by the way, we offer all these services. If any of you might have some insight on or connections to HR people that might be interested in adding your or adding some of our wellness, stress relief type services, please let me know. And then again, you can get a little more personal in those first two emails than that last one.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. I think we got through all of the questions for that. Thank you so much. Okay. How to structure your offer. What should you be offering? What should you include in the program?
Okay, so I'm going to start with what you should not, or how you should not structure payments. Okay, one thing that we tried this back in the day and learned early on, and I know a lot of trainers still do this. I recommend that you do not structure payments based on number of participants in a corporate setting. Because what happened early on for us is we would start a program in a company and there would be 100 people that would sign up for and get started, and they would pay us based on the number of participants. And then what happens about 2 weeks into a program like that? And a lot of them drop out, don't they? And then all of a sudden the company's going, wait a minute, we paid you for 100 people and only 70 of them finished. Do we get a refund? I don't like giving money back once they've given it to me, right? So all of our programs, that taught me a lesson early on, and that was a long time ago. So all of our structured offers are based on the program, not the number of participants in the program. Does that make sense?
Distinction. Mm-hmm. That's perfect.
There's a big difference, a big difference. So if 100 people sign up and only 70 of them finish it, you know, the program is the program. The cost of the program is this, right? And so that way you alleviate a lot of headache of trying to figure dollar amounts and percentages and what you need to give back to the corporation. So I would definitely recommend structuring your offer based on the program and the time you have invested in it. And we'll talk a little more specifically about this too, but when you're offering, I would structure the time frame in that 30-minute time frame in the corporate setting, and we'll go into details of that in a little bit as to why. But I hope that kind of answers that question from the structuring of the offer. It's by the program. The programs usually are 30 minutes in length, and that's kind of how we frame the whole context of our offers.
Okay, can you break down what's actually included in an offer? How many workouts are you offering? Is there nutrition? Is there accountability? Is there a challenge? Like what is a typical corporate wellness offer that you, or that people on this call, especially if they have never approached a corporation before, what would they be presenting that they can offer?
Absolutely. And what I will also do is I will actually put up one of our contracts so that you can see exactly how simple my contracts are and exactly what they offer. All right.
You're going to have to give everybody your address so they can just send you fruit baskets.
But I'll post it in the thing so you can actually look at it and see. I'll block out the company's name, but you'll see exactly what it is. And I'm a simple guy, so my contracts are very simple. We used to have a very complicated contract that I got from my lawyer, and what I found out is that every time we would give it to a different company, it would come back in a totally different format, because every corporation has their own legal department and their own structure of contracts and all that silly stuff. So we basically put out a one-page PO, purchase order, and basically that is our simplistic contract. And then when the company comes to us with a more formal contract, I run it by my attorney, we sign it and send it off. But we really go by that one-page purchase order. And what our offers are the on-site corporate fitness programs, on-site nutrition, the on-site massage therapy, the chair massage therapy, which is a very popular offering, the on-site yoga, and the lifestyle wellness challenges, accountability challenges. So those 5 things are what we offer.
Okay. So given the current situation right now, everybody's, virtual, or most people are virtual at this point. So they would be offering virtual workouts. Is that packaged all together, or are they separate streams, or how does that generally work?
Well, the answer is yes and no. It depends on the company. Every single company that you go in front of will end up being a little different. Every company you go in front of, the payment structure will end up being different. We have companies that pay by the month. We have companies that pay by the quarter. We have companies that pay by the year. I love it when a company gives me one check up front for an entire year. It's a beautiful thing. But most companies, and that's their policies, like one of our hospitals is a not-for-profit hospital, and they can't pay until the service is rendered. So we do a month of sessions of programming, and then we send them a bill, and then they pay us. Another company, this global software company I was talking about, we bill them upfront for a quarter. That's how they do theirs. And then they pay 30 days next. So if I bill them January 1, I get a check by February 1, and it covers through March 31. And then I bill them again April 1, get it May 1, and it pays through July 1. So that, again, every situation, every company you deal with, you have to be flexible enough to go with what their payment structure is. Mm-hmm. But if it were my druthers, I would rather have that money, give me that whole contract up front. Mm-hmm. let me hold on to that money instead of you. But again, just be flexible enough and understand that you have to kind of go with what their corporate structure is already set up to be.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Oh, yeah. Billy just said he had a corporate client that hit pause and then realized the value of virtual. So the contract is back on.
Billy, I'm glad you said that, because that's exactly what happened to us too. And then the funny thing is when I was talking to the wellness director, this is at the hospital, and I reached out to her after they put a pause on it, and I said, would you consider virtual programming? And she got back and said, what in the world are you talking about? And I said, well, let's get on a call and go over it. When I got on the call, we were talking about, I said, we can provide this face-to-face via Zoom. And she goes, what? What's Zoom? So she had no idea what Zoom was. I said, here, I'm going to start a meeting right now while we're on the phone. I'm going to invite you to this meeting. I invited her. So we're talking on the phone. I invited her. We're face-to-face on Zoom. And she goes, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. So she didn't even know what Zoom was. And I said, we can provide an entire class, just like this. And literally the next day we did our first yoga class for them, got it set up overnight, started it. We had 14 people in that first, just kind of last minute thing. And she was one of them. And then we recorded it. They sent it to some other associates. She said the next day they got 20 of their other associates that watched it. So now we're up to 34 people that saw it. You know, again, this just happened because of a phone call and me saying, hey, would you consider virtual? And now we are literally back on full schedule starting on Monday. We ended up doing about 7 classes this week. Next week, we're back up to full pace with them all on Zoom. So I'm glad you brought that up, Billy. That's exactly what happens.
Amazing. So would you be able to put, like, it's hard to do because every company is different, every business is different, but like an average structure for a corporate fitness or corporate wellness program and what that would entail, like in general, so that way people have an idea of what kind of structure it would have.
You're talking like schedule of classes and okay, so let me I'm glad you brought that up because this is something I'm not even sure we cover. Actually it is down here, but how we determine that, Alicia, is based on the initial survey that we conduct with the company, because the worst thing that all of you can do, or the worst thing that I can do, is go into a company and assume I know what they want or need. And that's where the online surveys come in, and we'll dig in a little bit deeper because that's, I think I made a note of that somewhere in my notes. Best practices, yeah. So we'll cover that in detail when we get down to best practices.
Amazing. Okay, we had a couple of questions that did come in. Let's see. I understand not charging by person and your advice made sense, but how would you structure this for a package that includes logging into an online training website, so more like an app? We would be handing out user logins and paid to a subscription site.
I'm not sure I fully comprehend that question, but I will say that what we use is MindBody. So they still have to sign up on MindBody, which then gives them the link. I will also tell you this, and I'm not sure, some of you may know this, MindBody was in the process of a beta program with their online platform. Some of you may already know that if you use MindBody. They were going to launch it in August, but because of what happened here, they're fast tracking it. And so MindBody is actually going to have an online platform that will integrate with their with their thing already. So we have used MindBody forever, but that's how we track who's in the class. Again, I'm not sure I fully understood. Did I answer the question or?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what that question is. Tracy, if you want to rewrite your question.
Or Tracy, feel free, if I didn't answer it, if you need to talk to me directly or email me or whatever, feel free to do that and we can talk specifically about your situation.
Got it. Someone asked, as far as streaming, when the employees are logging on, are they all signing in separately? So, yep, yeah, they're going to be logging in from wherever they're coming in.
Yeah, because most of them now are at home.
Yep, live from their living room.
Yeah. And just make sure you set up the Zoom call with when they do log in, that they log in muted, because again, we just learned this from experiences. If a yoga class has started and someone pops in 5 minutes late and they're hurrying and scurrying to get things going and their dog's barking in the background, it's disruptive. So make sure you set up the Zoom call. You can set it up to where everybody is muted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Billy asked, since you're not limited by space, would you combine groups? Do you mean combine different companies?
Yes. Oh, not companies. No, we don't combine companies, but we do combine time. So in other words, at this software company we work with, we do 30 classes a week. We have afternoon classes at 11, 11:30, 12, 12:30, 1, and 1:30. What we have done is instead of doing 5 or 6 classes in that time frame, we have combined those now because we don't have to worry about the schedule on site. Now most people can make it we're doing 1 at 12 and 1 at 1. So we're combining 6 classes into 2 in that virtual setting because now everyone is at home and doesn't have to worry about that cycling of employees at the on-site location. Good, that's a good question.
Beautiful. All right. Are you familiar with Trainerize or My PT Hub, or how those work?
Yes, I am familiar with Trainerize. I don't use Trainerize, but yeah, I'm familiar with it, and it's a great platform to use as well. Again, Zoom, I wish I would have bought stock in Zoom because
don't we all?
Yeah, Zoom has just been an easy platform platform for someone who was not in the online training world before, including myself. It was just an easy platform to get up and running very quickly. And but if you've already committed to Trainerize and you know it like the back of your hand, I'd say hammer that out and just go with what you know.
Got it. Got it. All right. So let's talk. I'm going to see a couple of other questions in here about pricing. So let's say you're streaming 2 classes a day, fitness, and maybe you're running a challenge, maybe you're not, accountability, maybe you're offering nutrition support, depending on what your niche is. What's an average price that you would propose to a corporation for 1 month, let's say? What would that on average?
Now, when we were doing the boots on ground training, I'm going to give you 2 examples with the same company. The national headquarters, global headquarters here in Kansas City, we charged about $150 to $200 a session, an hour. Okay. In New York City, I was making $500 an hour. Okay, same company, but the key is knowing your market. So if you're in Kansas City, you're not going to be able to charge what you can get away with charging in New York City. Now, with the online world, this is a brave new world because I'm going to go with my local prices here in Kansas City, but I do know now that some of those New York offices and some of those LA offices are going to participate in those classes. So I'm going to grow my actual number of participants in that same company that I couldn't serve before, but I'm going to keep this same price because this is an amazing contract for me, right? And I actually see this as an opportunity to grow the programming and to grow a library of content that we can make specifically customized to this company, because I think each company should have a wellness library available to their employees. And I want to be the content provider for that wellness library. And that's where I see the growth with now this new online world. Honestly, guys, Alicia, I know I talked to you about it. I can't remember if I actually posted this when we had talked about the opportunities that I think a lot of people are scared because of these, but I posted in another, the idea, I think, page, a historical perspective of what's happening now. And I want you to keep things in context and understand that what we are living right now is an amazing opportunity of growth for each and every one of you that are willing to step outside of your comfort zone. And I got to tell you, in the last week, I have stepped way outside of my comfort zone and learned way more about technology than I ever cared to learn about. Usually this is the stuff that I'll call my office manager and say, set up a Zoom call. I don't know how, this kind of stuff. But I have had to dig in and learn a lot of this technology, and I'm looking at it as an opportunity to grow my business beyond anywhere where I've even been close to lately. And each one of you has that same opportunity. So I'm going to post that historical perspective of what we're about to go into over the next few years here after we're finished with this call.
Amazing. Amazing. All right. I know we have a bunch of Billy said yes. Ryder's taking a nap back there. That seems to be his normal position. All right. Let's see. If you have time, can you explain how you're combining the sessions at one company?
Yeah, I mean, really very simple. Like I said, if we have a 11 o'clock, 11:30, 12, 12:30, 1:30 class of 6 classes in a row, back to back to back, we are, instead of doing those 6 different classes, we're just offering 2 different classes and letting whoever wants to sign up through Mind Body. So if they signed up at an 11 o'clock class or an 11:30 class before, they just go in, and now there's unlimited number of people that can sign up for each of those classes since we're doing it virtually. Before, we had a class size limit. So the one that may have wanted to take at 11 o'clock, that class has been full for 10 years. There hadn't been an open space in that because people, when they get those times, they hang on to them. So they had to take the 11:30 class. So now anyone can take that 11 o'clock class because doing it virtually opens it up to the world. So now, instead of just, back to back to back to back, because we couldn't have too many people in class, because again, in a corporate setting, You have to be very respectful of that environment. That's one thing where a lot of trainers get in trouble, is that they try to run their same fitness class company in a corporate setting. And you really have to be respectful of that corporate environment, not overwhelm the area that you're doing the class. It's got to be safe. You'd be safe in your own environment too, but I'm just saying there are considerations in a corporate environment that you don't have in your fitness center. So just, and again, I think that is in that information that Alicia has provided you guys.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love, and Stephanie mentioned this too, that wellness library that you are recording all of the workouts. That is such an incredible value. Mm-hmm. And that's something that will be lasting however many years you're with that company. You have that membership area they can log into. You're recording all of the education, the trainings, the workshops, the workouts, everything. That is a huge value for them.
And I will tell you this hospital that we work with here in Kansas City, they have 4,000 employees, and we are with them at, we run some 7 a.m. classes, we run some midday classes, and we run some evening classes. But you know who that leaves out? Hospitals have to run 24/7, 365. So we were never able to get in front of that overnight shift. Now we're able to get in front of them through this wellness library of content that we're creating. And even the wellness director reached out to me and said, you know, so-and-so from that overnight shift loved being able to take that yoga class that she'd never been able to take before. So again, I'm just looking at this as an amazing opportunity to get in front of now up to 4,000 employees, where before we were hitting maybe 400.
Yes. All right. Ooh, Trisha had a really great question. What is the #1 reason corporations want to do this for their employees?
Well, ultimately, it depends on who you're talking to. If it's a CFO, it'll be a little more of a challenge, because he's looking for quantifiable return on investment. You know, so that I don't like talking to CFOs, because they're a tough person to be able to tell exactly quantifiably how much they're going to save by bringing a program in, right? So we try to reframe the conversation to what's called VOI instead of ROI. Instead of return on investment, we talk about value on investment. And it's a whole different conversation. But you know what, I kind of got off on that volume, or that return on investment. Say the question one more time, because I got thinking about value on investment.
What's the #1 reason corporations want to do this for their employees?
Okay. Ultimately, again, depending on at what person in the C-suite you're talking to, they will want to be able to lower the healthcare costs if they're talking about the F in the C-suite, the financial person, right? The CEO will often talk about bringing value for their members. And I will tell you this, that wellness programs are becoming increasingly popular for high-level talent. So in other words, if somebody, when they're trying to recruit people into corporations, one of the big offerings that a company can give is a very high-quality wellness program. Yeah.
Amazing. All right. Let's get through the rest of the what we have on the outline, and then we'll go through all the questions, because I see a bunch of questions keep coming in. Okay, so let's talk about tech and what platforms that you're using and that you would recommend using to deliver a corporate wellness program.
Okay, well, I think you all know that I'm using Zoom. Again, that was a reactionary process on my part. Now, I will say that this is going to get us through the next probably few months. But as Mind-Body, because I have used their platform a long time, as they roll out their new online programming, I will probably tie into that, just because I like things that integrate smoothly with each other. But Zoom obviously is the one that I'm using currently. I will say for our Lunch and Learns, we use a platform, you all know YouTube and you all know Vimeo. We use one called Wistia.
That's what I use, actually.
Okay, Wistia is a higher quality, high definition platform. I think we pay, I don't even, honestly don't remember what we pay for it because my office manager sets all that up and does the technology stuff. But it costs a little more, I think, than Vimeo.
Yeah, you got to be careful. My bill's going to be over $600 this month.
Your Wistia bill? Okay, yeah, that's why I say that's why,
Yeah,
depending on
how many, if you're going to be putting all of your workouts on there, it's going to add up fast.
Yeah, no, we use Wistia just because, I like that really, really high def, high quality programming, but I would encourage you, depending on where you are, use YouTube, they've got free stuff, right? Or Vimeo. But Wistia is the one we use from the standpoint of the lifestyle management and challenges. We use two different platforms. We use one called Vimify. That's the platform that you will see in action if you download in that thread that I put out there. And the challenge will start tomorrow. You'll see exactly how we run those. We also use one called Coach Catalyst. I know Alicia is real familiar with the Onboard Me, which is a great platform as well. I've got, in fact, I see Leslie there, Leslie Smith, she's one in the NCFI. She uses the Onboard Me as well. So those are the technologies that we use and have had real good success with those.
Amazing. And Stephanie says, what else do you tie into your wellness programs in addition to challenges and fitness classes? Do you offer nutrition coaching? Yep. And lifestyle management?
Absolutely. In fact, the lifestyle management is an umbrella of underneath that nutrition falls. I have an on-staff nutritionist that does a series of lunch and learn programs. And she actually is one of my trainers as well. So I kind of got 2 in 1 there. And she does actual face-to-face online coaching and in person. So you can do face-to-face with the technology, but we also do it in person as well. But now we have to do it all online. So yeah, the main ones that we offer, just so you know, the fitness challenge and accountability programs, the online lunch and learns, the online keynote presentations, the group exercise, yoga, stretch and flex programming, and then stress management type 6-week courses.
Amazing. And you guys, Greg is putting together a little handout from everything we talked about. He'll put links on there and all that stuff. And I think he said you'll be able to post that tomorrow. So just keep an eye out and everything will get posted in that resource page. So I'll post the recording for this and I'll also post links to everything that you've talked about today in there so people can have easy access to it. Perfect.
And let me throw out one other thing while I'm thinking about it. Just to be on our National Corporate Fitness Institute website, there is a complimentary 6-week course. I would encourage you to learn everything you can about corporate wellness. That 6-week online course, and again, it's complimentary. You don't have to pay. I'm not trying to sell you anything here. I want you to take that so you can get some more valuable resources and gain a greater understanding of what you're about to step into. I think it'll be a very helpful resource for you.
Amazing. Gloria keeps sending you virtual hugs.
Oh, right back at you, Gloria.
All right. So do you want to go over best practices and then I'm going to go through this list of questions?
Absolutely. So with best practices, first and foremost, and I had mentioned this earlier, is I don't want you to assume you know what a company wants. The key there is to make sure you provide what they need and what they're asking of you, okay? So the best way to do that, you can get a free version of SurveyMonkey. We have the paid version because I think on the free version you get, what, 10 questions? Okay.
And no custom branding.
Okay. So with ours, and that's another, I'm going to actually post the American Italian Pasta Company survey that we did. I'm going to post that. It ended up being a document this thick. And it's because we did it in 5 of their work sites in Rome, in South Carolina, 2 in Kansas City, and one in Phoenix. And so we surveyed all of their locations. Then we broke it down individually in locations. And the cool thing about that is 2 weeks after we gave those surveys to the C-suite, the CEO came to me and said, Greg, I've got to tell you, I learned more about my own company from that survey than I knew in the previous 2 years that I've been the CEO. So again, that elevated my company in his eyes because of what I was able to provide him. That's amazing value that you can give to a C-suite, level person. So that best practices always start with giving them what they're asking for. Don't assume you know what they need. And that online survey, and again, I'm going to post one for you so you can see the exact questions we ask. If you do the paid version, you can literally copy the questions. I'm fine with that. Just don't use my company name. But you can use the same questions that we have asked. Now, if you do the free version, maybe just consolidate down to 10 questions and you'll get a lot of good, valuable information from those 10 questions. Another best practice, obviously, and I'm learning this at this stage too, is leverage even more technology. We have used technology over the last few years, but now I'm learning even more technology. So leverage whatever technology is available to you. Also learn the media that the employees you're wanting to serve use. What is the media that they're using? Learn how to put your applications into that media. Mm-hmm. That would be very important. Also, it's important for a couple of reasons here. One is HIPAA violations, but you really want to respect the privacy of the corporate individual. I'm going to give you anecdotal proof of this here. With our yoga classes with the hospital, every class will kind of take on its own personality. The first class we did, that 14-person class that we just did kind of quick overnight, and it was up and running the next day. Every one of them had their screen turned on so we could see them. And at the end of the class, their dogs were barking and they came in the room and it was like a dog and pony show. I mean, everyone was showing off their dogs and loving on each other. It was an amazing scene. I was getting a kick out of it. The very next day, we ran our second yoga class for them in the morning. Not one screen was turned on. And we didn't ask them to. We said, if you would like to turn it on, please do, and we can help correct your form, but we also respect your privacy and want you to know you don't have to. So from that first day of 100% of them turning it on to the second day, none of them turned it on. Respect that privacy and understand that, that's what they want. Mm-hmm. And so just be respectful of that. Also, over the course of time, you want to incrementally communicate the benefits of individual wellness within the company as it relates to the overall picture of the company, because it starts with one person that will then turn into 2 and 4 and 8 and grow in that corporate environment of wellness. And you just want to communicate the benefits individually so that it will create that viral effect as a corporate entity. Mm-hmm. So those would be the 4 things, boom, 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 that I would say the best practices to get you off the ground with the company.
Fantastic. Ooh, oh my gosh, we've been going for an hour already.
Oh my.
You're incredible. Okay, so I'm going to start going through some of these questions. If you guys have questions, just let me know. And let me scroll up for a little bit. I think some of this is for tech. What's the difference between a lunch and learn and a keynote?
Well, lunch and learns are usually a little shorter in duration. Like I said, we do some lunch and learns in 15-minute increments. Some of them are very interactive. And a keynote presentation is like when you go to, well, for our, say, like Idea World or something like that, a keynote presentation goes up there and with their PowerPoint presentation just goes, right down the list of things you're learning. But in a lunch and learn, a lot of times it's a quicker, a more interactive, kind of open, loose dialogue than a keynote presentation.
All right. Would you recommend using Facebook as an avenue to connect with corporate decision makers, or LinkedIn?
LinkedIn is where you're going to get more bang for buck. Facebook doesn't quite have the same reach in the corporate space as LinkedIn does. So I think you'll have better success with LinkedIn.
Perfect. Jose asked for the links to the resources. Yes, we're going to post links to all of the resources in one doc to keep it easy for you guys.
Yeah.
And what's the website they'll go to check out the 6-week course?
ncfinstitute.com. I'll post that for you. Can I post that in the chat?
Yeah, Beth, can you post that in the chat?
Okay.
Yep.
ncfinstitute.com. And that's National Corporate Fitness Institute.
I think somebody actually did already for you.
Oh, cool. Yeah, there you go. Very good. Thank you, Calvin. Looks like Calvin did. Thank you, Calvin.
Thanks, Calvin. Yep, some other people want your books. This is amazing. They said they checked you out on Amazon already. You have 30 books on Amazon.
Do I have 30? I thought I was somewhere between 25 and 30. I've kind of lost track. So that's good to know.
Let's see, Vimify and Wistia. Yep, those are the platforms. National Corp. Okay. I think, did we get through all these questions already? Let's see. I've gone to live workouts with my existing clients. It's easy because they all know the drills. How do you cope when you get a whole heap of new attendees that don't know the exercises?
Well, I would, especially in the corporate setting, what we've had to do is schedule learner programs because, in one of our corporations, they can't go into the gym without one of our trainers taking them through a systematic process of what we do. They're not allowed to go into the gym, and they have to sign off on the fact that they've gone through our coaching before they can use the gym. So in this virtual setting, what we're having to do is create a similar class for a beginner's class for those that are new to it. And now with Mind Body, we're able to have people sign waivers, so they get their phone and they go to Mind Body and there's our waiver and they click, they agree to it, and they can literally sign with their finger, and then it'll be in our Mind Body system. Now, every platform is going to be different, but that's how we have handled it with new people coming in, beginner class, let's learn the basics, and make sure they sign their waivers.
Got it.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Are Lunch and Learns live or pre-recorded?
Yes.
Yes and yes.
Yeah, the answer is both.
Yes.
The one we did globally, the Lunch and Learn that we just sent out last week, we filmed it live in front of their corporate headquarters here. So there were, I think, probably 80 people live in the Lunch and Learn. They filmed it live and then broadcast it to their 10 countries around the world. So that, because when it was 12 noon here in Kansas City, it was not 12 noon in Indonesia, which is where one of their headquarters was. So, you want to do both. Mm-hmm. And again, we talked about it earlier, create that library of content. So every one of your Lunch and Learns should be recorded and filed and used. It's evergreen.
Fantastic. All right. I think we addressed most of these questions. What's the best way to approach clients that have hit pause on renewing contracts and have laid off some or most of their staff?
So you're talking about a corporate entity that has laid off their staff?
Who's RM? Can you corporate entity? Yes.
Okay, so if a company, I'm assuming you're talking about a pretty small company with maybe, let's say, less than 50 employees, and a lot of small companies have had to lay everybody off. I'm not sure there's a lot you can do other than what I might do just from a strategic long play and to serve and give back, is to offer them some complimentary sessions, to get over deliver from something that they maybe weren't expecting. Say, hey, these 20 employees that you have laid off, they're probably highly stressed and don't know what to do now. I'm willing to offer them some stress relief, some breathing classes, some yoga programming, and it could even be some programs that you already have banked on YouTube that you could send them on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
But it's with something like that, you just want to give and help serve, and then understand that it may never come back to benefit you. But most of the times, what I have found when I plant seeds, that more times often than not, they bear fruit.
I mean, you built your whole business off of relationships, and that's what it's all about.
That truly is. Yeah. And I can say 90% of my corporate contracts have come as a direct contact point in my business. And I have been part of the corporate wellness space. That was my first job right out of graduate school, way back in the early 80s, was in corporate wellness. So it has been something that has served my business very well.
Amazing. We have a good question that came in. How are you building engagement with employees to build a virtual community, basically, for each business?
Well, what I have been doing is doing personal emails throughout this process. You can ask my wife. I slept in yesterday and today till 3:30, right? So the rest of the days I've been up at 2 a.m. going in. Who else? Somebody who's with me? 2 a.m.s? Awesome. I love that. And it's because I thrive on pressure situations that take me outside of my comfort zone and make me grow. And so I've literally been up at 2 or 3 o'clock every morning, going above and beyond and reaching out to individuals in these companies, my own personal clients. And I'm not asking anything of them. I'm just trying to serve them and give, something that maybe that they need and don't know they need until they actually do it. So I would just encourage you to, just to serve and give and grow without expectation. And I think you'll find that, just long term, it benefits you.
Amazing. Amazing. All right. Notepad next to my bed with all the ideas that are flowing. Yes. Thank you so much. We got a lot of thank yous in here for you. I think we got pretty much all the questions in here. We'll send out again the recording and all the links with everything that Greg spoke about. Do we have any last questions that I didn't? Sorry if I missed your question. There was a lot of things that came in through here throughout the conversation.
And guys, my direct email is aycfit@gmail.com. That's my direct email. So you're welcome to reach out anytime.
Well, you guys have been absolutely amazing. And Greg, I'm so inspired every time I hear you.
No,
thank
seriously,
you so
thank
much.
you, Alicia, for doing this. And thank you for allowing me to share, whatever experiential knowledge I've been able to gain over the years.
Amazing. Well, I know you've incredibly helped so many people, and we'll post the links to all the resources. You guys can tag Greg in the FBFF group. If you have questions, just give him a little bit of time to get back to you, because I'm sure he's getting up at 2:30 in the morning to help everyone right now with his clients and all of his contacts. So you guys are amazing. Keep up the great work. And remember, this is a time for growth and opportunity. So really control your attention, your focus. If you start to have that fear or panic, that's what is the conversation in the world, but you can control where you put your attention.
Stay connected with your tribe. Stay ultra connected with your tribe.
Yes, absolutely. So reach out. We're here to support you. We love you guys, and keep up the amazing work and impact that you're creating in your community. So thank you again, Greg. You're absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you all.